The question is that was it known for sure at the time that Jihadi John was in fact Muhammad al-Wazi, was there still doubt of it, and are we convinced that it was him? At the time, as I said, it was broken by the Washington Post, and they said that this is who they believe it was. We simply said that this person, if that's him, we had interaction with him at the Cage office.
It doesn't really matter. And in terms of our position, it doesn't matter who he was. The fact is, whoever carried out those executions is Jihadi John. And if it was Mwazi, then we've accepted the mistakes that were made in terms of how we address that in this external report that was done. The important thing in all of this was that his case was one in a series of cases that were coming to us. People constantly, even now as we speak, constantly come to the Cage office talking about harassment from the security services at various levels. Now it's really important to remember that, okay, Jihadi John, or whoever he was, he may have been pushed out, may have been alienated. In fact, one of the statements that he made to the Robert Vercake of the Daily Mail in a letter that he wrote, he said, "I feel like a dead man walking. I'm suicidal." That's what he said to them, let alone what he said to Cage. It means that he was being made to feel like he didn't belong. And there's plenty of evidence for that in terms of his job, in terms of his engagement being counted and so forth. But that doesn't take away the agency that he's responsible for what he did. Just in the same way, I can't say that because of what was done to me or to the other brothers in Guantanamo and elsewhere, that as a result of that we become completely unhinged.
Okay, any questions?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will preserve you all and grant you success. Yes, my question might be a little naive, but if holding these extreme views are becoming illegal, so-called extreme views are illegal, and they could be prosecuted for, or certain things could be done, then how about people like Shawcross, like he's holding certain extreme views, and since their law is supposedly vague, then and is not defined specifically for Muslims, can't they be sued as well? Can't it fire back on them, those who are writing the law themselves?
Not Shawcross, but David Cameron and Theresa May, because they hold some extreme views.
But actually he's right, because Shawcross doesn't believe in the rule of law when it comes to Guantanamo, so...
And David Cameron received Sisi anyway.
When I was a young boy, I was always told to listen to the chair.
So you are not young anymore.
No. So I just want to clarify the question. Can you just succinctly summarize the question?
I understand the question.
You understand the question. Okay, fantastic. Dr.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, one of the things I'd say to whenever these terms are used, like radicalization, preachers of hate, extremism, what's the difference between Shawcross, Nigel Farage, all of these people? Like they'll talk about terrorist attacks. There are terrorist attacks going on every day on elderly Muslims being stabbed on their way to doing salah. There are women being attacked. That's the underlying terror attack that's going on regularly. These are preachers of hate, no different. Just because they have a tweed suit and they speak in a nice accent doesn't mean they're any different. That's why I say this terminology, rejected. Radicalization, everything, is basically they're looking at people of color, people who are Muslim. Everyone keeps using this line, the new racists use, oh well, Islam's not a race. We know what they're saying. If you ask any white Muslim, when they convert, how they describe you, you're a race traitor when you become a white Muslim. So that's what I'm saying to you, they are. But that's what our job is. They don't like the fact that we have the same plummy accents that they have, and we ask them the questions that they don't like to answer.
Yeah, in relation to your question about can these people be prosecuted, just so you understand, there have been numerous people who've been identified as actual torturers from within the CIA and others who were part of the rendition program. One of the things that Obama said when he came into power, he said, I'll close Guantanamo, I'll stop torture, and I'll stop the rendition program. Now, he also said, in the case of Abu Zubaydah and the others, there was actually video testimony. I.e., while they were interrogating Abu Zubaydah, they took video testimony of him being waterboarded, water tortured. That testimony, or that video evidence, was destroyed. Obama, despite that, said that there will be no prosecutions for anybody who took part in the torture. So essentially what he's saying is that for some people, it's okay to torture. Now, when you've got people like Shawcross and others, and it's a very difficult position to take to support waterboarding. Cameron himself has called for the closure of Guantanamo. So this is even more extreme than Cameron and the others. So his position is very untenable because the majority of people would be against him. The problem is that people like him are very astute at disguising their language and their argument. So they'll dress it up in lots of legal jargon and so forth, but in the end, if you can pick through it, you can see clearly he's making a case for defending torture, a legal case for defending torture and defending Guantanamo. And as I said, if the practitioners of torture have not been prosecuted, then what about the architects of it who've actually justified and legalized it?
Okay, are there any other questions by any chance?
Yeah, sorry. Just going back to the Charity Commission, can we just like have some clarification? What was the settlement exactly?
It's a good question.
I'm not sure how much the case is explained at the beginning, but what we challenged the Charity Commission on was that, you know, they described us as awful, odious, you know, all these things. I was going to put that on my CV next time. But they said, you must never fund these people ever again. And the thing is, look, I work in the NHS, and I sort of gave this example, is that if we were prosecuted and never allowed to work after mistakes we make, everyone makes mistakes, you know, there was a mid-staffs inquiry, they would never be able to work ever again. That's what Shawcross was saying. And we challenged them on that and said that they were unable to do this. And the thing is that the Roundtree Foundation picked up on this, so we are skilled in lawfare. Very much so. But then the thing is, they bottled it. You know, Douglas Murray came out with a statement saying, they didn't go for the kill. We didn't need to. You said what we needed to say. The charities have the right, as trustees, to say what and who and when they want to fund somebody. Not Shawcross. Shawcross does not define the public good. So the settlement was, I mean, the Lord Chief Justice, remember what I was saying to you, the Real Madrid, Barcelona, all these people, they were there to hit us. And he was literally shouting at them to say, settle. You've got to settle. He would not let us win. You know, like I sort of sent a tweet about that. I said, they had 10 yellow cards, but they're still on the pitch. They were still on the pitch. We knew this was a bent game. Okay? But the reality is this, that we just said, fine, no problem. We've had our say. It's there. You know, the Roundtree Foundation was saying, fight them. You know, they said, go for it. I said, guys, fine, if you want to fight them, you've got money. What are we going to do? We're going to give some gold bangles now. Okay? So we won. And all of these clowns who are coming out saying, oh, you know, this and we're free to say, they didn't. Don't believe the spin. The only thing is that we didn't have to pay their costs, which we were worried about. They didn't have to pay our costs. So if you want to say, it was a 1-0 win. 1-0 to the Palace.
That's the reaction that, you know, Palace has on people.
Exactly.
Wasn't speechless.
He supports Villa, that's why.
Actually, it's not a question.
That's fine, the contribution's fine, of course.
Okay, can I just...
Of course, if you can reach it.
One thing that's been bugging me all night, and it's being used everywhere, and we must stop doing it. Muslims themselves have started talking about British values. Now, Part of empowerment is to understand what this agenda is and where it's coming from. Does anybody know what this is about? No, I'll tell you exactly where it's come from. So this has come from McCarthyism. This is what happened in the McCarthy era. You had committees that were called the Un-American Committees. Activities. And they then decided who fell outside of being un-American, i.e. they were communists. That's the Cold War strategy that's being implemented. Now we Muslims have started to say, yeah, but Islam is compatible with Britain. It's not about that. It's using the exact same tactics that they used in McCarthyism against Muslims to exclude you, to do the things that Dr. Adnan just mentioned, bar you from jobs for life. If you look at what's happening with the Trojan horse case, people being banned, it's a rerun of those un-American activity committees, exactly what happened in that era. So please stop thinking this is some benevolent, genuine attempt to come up with a set of values that is good for all society. It's not.
Okay, I think I'm should be drawing it to close. I'll take one more question. If there's any other questions that people would like to put forward, if not, I will put it to a close. Okay, now you're angry. All right, very quickly.
Why has the venue changed?
Ask Prevent.
First question. Why elephant in the room? Why has the venue changed?
Ask Prevent.
That's it. The venue was changed, I think, at the last minute because
Because of British values.
Pressure was put onto the initial place where we booked, and that pressure was from the outside. So this is another evidence. We're a case in point of ourselves of Prevent being unduly forced upon organisations who simply don't understand. They were told because it's politics, even though the place in question teaches politics. So it's another fight for cage.
Okay. You had a question? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, mine was just about the bank account, and if that is, with the win, or however we're seeing it, with that, whether those conditions are going to be lifted, whether, so I'm not really clear on how that was enforced in the first place.
Okay.
And if that's going to affect how Cage can now.
Sure. Bank account. Dr. Ahmed.
No, it hasn't been resolved. The thing is, it's very. I like reading sort of letters coming in that very British tone. No, you've been exonerated. The Treasury said to us, "There's nothing on you guys. It's fine." But you need to dig out Peter Oborne's documentary, because he actually focused on Anas al-Takriti and others who had their personal accounts and even their kids' accounts closed down. And to show you what British values is really like, there seems to be really where it's come from is United Arab Emirates. They're deciding British values. I mean, they're taking over our football team, so I'm sorry to keep bringing back football. But yeah, so this is what I'm saying to you, is that there is this factor, which is there's an organisation called World Pay. As soon as your name comes up, whether, it's a bit like a bad credit check. As soon as your name comes up, World Check, then that's it, you can't get an account. And the thing is, that's actually the next battle that we need to sort of do, because essentially any person can just have a late rating against it, and you can't even challenge it, and then that's it. But the thing is that what it tells you is that you now need to start looking, this is the empowerment issue, is that the money that we have is fictitious. It's just digits. So we have to start thinking, how do we get money? How do we make this is a lesson for us in resilience, in terms of making more organizations, making an ability to not be reliant on and dependent on it. That's what they tried to do. They tried to put an investigation, on me as a director, financially. And then they bottled it because they realized I was taking too little money from the state. You know, so that's what I'm saying to you, is that it's a very important question. We'll keep you posted, but at the moment you just have to sort of, there's a I give online, which is the way, and unfortunately you just have to keep, you can't put a standing order from what I understand on that one. But like I said to you, that the community, Muslims and non-Muslims, have been incredibly generous. And like I said to you, our safe is, you know, still quite full. Not for too long, but it's still quite full.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have, unfortunately. So, Jazakallah khair to Mu'adhib and Dr. Adnan for your time.